Hi, my name is Russ Leadham, and I'm a Master of Planning student from the University of Calgary's Faculty of Environmental Design. Several of my colleagues and our supervisor, Harry Harker, have worked to support part of the program that involves working with communities to find innovative, low-cost ways to achieve their goals. We'd like to thank the Mistakis Institute as well as Parkland County Administration for the support we've received, and we look forward to continuing to work with both in the future. Parkland County has a proven history of leadership and conservation, a solid policy framework that supports innovative solutions, and a need to more closely align its methods of agricultural preservation with the sustainable development of land. We believe that all three of these points make Parkland County an ideal candidate for a Transferable Development Credit Program, or a TDC. To outline our presentation, I will discuss why we think Parkland County could benefit from a TDC program, describe how it works in case you're not familiar with TDCs, and finish with an example of how a Made in Parkland approach could look. So what is a TDC and why should you care? A Transferable Development Credit System is a voluntary market-based mechanism where development in places this council feels are appropriate will pay for land conservation in others. In short, a landowner receives compensation for conserving their land by selling their development potential elsewhere. This allows valuable land to be conserved, appropriate development to be incentivized, and it gives landowners more freedom to unlock the development value of their land. We believe a TDC program can help Parkland County accomplish three of their major land management goals. The first of that being the protection of environmentally significant areas as identified in the award-winning Environmental Conservation Master Plan. The second, the encouragement of development in appropriate locations as will be defined in the Municipal Development Plan. And finally, the promotion of agricultural production and principled leadership as recommended in the Future of Agriculture study. Parkland already has enabling policy in place from the Provincial Alberta Land Stewardship Act and the Municipal Government Act to the three documents you see here. Policy tools are already in place, including your current subdivision policies and the active and growing Alternative Land Use Service program. While these tools are effective, they only touch upon partial aspects of the full solution, and we believe that because TDCs are direct connection across all of your policy documents, they can help take the next step forward in implementing your plans and achieving your goals. So why do we think Parkland County requires a new tool? We started our project by getting to know the unique assets in the county. We reviewed key plan documents and also came up for site visits. As a team, one of the first things we noticed was the huge diversity of resources and landscapes that provide economic and scenic value. We traveled to Entwistle, Tomahawk, Keep Hills, as well as many of the country residential areas. We saw agricultural land, light industrial areas, the Highvale Mine, and various recreation areas. What struck us the most was that while agricultural land plays a vital cultural and economic role in the county, some of the best agricultural land is under threat of fragmentation or conversion to other land uses. The Future of Agriculture Study Situation Report tells us that between 2001 and 2011 alone, 21% of total cropland in the county was lost. That is almost 50,000 acres or 300 quarter sections. Farmers are reporting conflicts with development, including difficulty moving equipment and increased nuisance complaints. They are concerned for the future of agriculture in Parkland County. Agricultural land currently accounts for 60% of the land uses in the county based on current zoning. If the current trends continue, the county will not only see an irreversible loss of agricultural land, but also a continued increase in land use conflicts. Parkland County policies provide a strong basis for decision-making on which land uses are appropriate in which areas. But those policies need implementation strategies that proactively conserve land. A TDC system is an opportunity for the county to achieve its goals of preserving rural lifestyles and valuable agricultural land while directing development to where it should go. So specifically, which areas are we talking about? As we started to understand the impact of land use changes, We wanted to formulate a clearer picture of areas that the county would ideally conserve. We consulted with staff and returned to the strong technical studies and plans already undertaken by the county and found that environmentally significant areas and productive soils are among the most highly valued for conservation. We looked at the known locations of the environmentally significant areas as well as highly productive soils with a Class 1 or 2 rating. The combination of the two maps shows the most highly valued conservation areas across the county. We notice immediately that a large portion of the conservation land lies just south of Spruce Grove and Stony Plain. This could inform your early discussions of where to focus conservation efforts. We based our work on some of the preliminary research on the future of agriculture, recognizing the financial and operational challenges that will be a reality for the agricultural community if no action is taken. Implementing a transferable development credit system here would mean achieving the goal of preserving Parkland's unique economy and culture for future generations by building on policies that have already established priorities. So why is it necessary to expand on current programs? To answer that question, we wanted to compare and contrast features of ALICE with TDCs to highlight the enormous advantage that would come from using both. We understand that the ALICE program has made important gains here. However, the county could build on the momentum of the program to meet more ambitious conservation goals. There are similarities between ALICE and transferable development credit programs. However, there are also substantial differences. While both aim to conserve land, they have differing priorities, durations, and financial models. ALICE pays landowners to conserve wetlands on their property, which generally cover no more than 20 to 30% of the parcel. By contrast, a transferable development credit program would aim to preserve the entire parcel by transferring development elsewhere. This means conservation on a larger scale. We were also interested to find that there is nothing preventing a landowner from selling their development credits and also participating in ALICE. In fact, we believe that the ability of the agricultural community to double dip provides an incentive to participate in both programs. ALICE has been very successful at fulfilling its conservation mandate in Parkland County, but a transferable development credit program could complement this effort, achieving conservation on a wider scale through a means more permanent and providing higher certainty of long-term conservation. A transferable development credit program could achieve these goals through market mechanisms as opposed to relying on philanthropic funding. As mentioned, a TDC program is a complementary conservation tool, and in the case studies we have undertaken, it is usually used in conjunction with other conservation programs. A TDC program allows municipalities to direct development away from certain areas and into areas more suitable for development. Areas more suitable for development may be deemed so for a variety of reasons, including existing servicing capacity, proximity to the transportation network, or more generally, strategic areas of growth within approved local area plans. So why would anybody be interested in participating in this program? Well, because the transfer of development potential is enabled by a market-based credit system. This allows participating landowners to profit from not developing their land, and instead, they benefit from letting someone else use that development potential elsewhere. The result is the protection of valued land, preserving its economic, ecological, and cultural integrity, all while directing growth to areas planned and serviced by the county. It's a program that achieves a lot more with a lot less. At the heart of the TDC program is the credit system. So how does this work? The first step is establishing a conservation area, as illustrated in green. A landowner within the conservation area boundaries can apply to the TDC program to have the subdivision potential of their land turned into credits. They can list their credits for sale through a database usually maintained by the county. A developer in another part of the county is considering building a new community. They are aware that by buying a certain amount of credits enables an increased density, which for example could be additional units per acre or increased floor-to-area ratio for commercial or mixed projects. They negotiate with conservation landowners for a price for their credits. When acquired, the conservation landowner is compensated by the developer for their credits, and the land is placed under conservation easement, meaning that no future development can take place since the developer is using their development potential to build out at a higher density elsewhere. Land is conserved and the agricultural uses remain intact. Development is allowed and incentivized by the increased development potential. So how could a TDC program work in Parkland County? For the purposes of this presentation, we have created a conceptual example based on site visits, research, and analysis. The first step is to establish a conservation area. We bring back the conservation map consisting of environmentally significant and prime agricultural areas. In conjunction with these areas, through site visits and consultation with Parkland planning staff, we have identified that the area south of Stony Plain and Spruce Grove is facing the most development pressure. Because this area is at risk of fragmentation and change to other uses, there is a need to protect these lands and direct growth to areas more suitable for development. The second step is to establish areas to direct development. Because a successful program depends on a market of credit buyers, we have included 4 conceptual development areas for example only, based on the preliminary work for the Community Sustainability and Development Plan and MDP. This is an opportunity to prevent the hollowing out of existing communities, keep current community services in place, and to bring new community services and amenities in, all to build stronger, more vibrant centers. So why wouldn't we simply make all development buy credits? Why wouldn't we just simply amend your bylaw to include TDC densities? Of course, locations and specifics of both the TDC conservation and development areas for future pilot program may be changed as a result of further research, analysis, and consultation of stakeholders. We've shown you just an outline of how a TDC program could look in Parkland County. Obviously, more work is needed in order to explore specific features of a Parkland program. Regardless of those specifics, every case study we've looked at has consistent requirements and benefits. First and most importantly, participation in this program must be optional. Landowners value their independence, so this program must be voluntary if it is to gain traction and receive public buy-in. Like Alice, a TDC program makes conservation an attractive option to landowners by allowing them to sell their development rights on the open market and offset the opportunity costs of conservation. This program is a proactive planning tool that helps implement your local area plans. A TDC program can encourage development in places you've already spent money preparing area structure plans. Rather than waiting for development to take off in these areas, TDCs can help increase market demand in planned areas. Third, because this program is market-based, the transactional costs of buying and selling the credits will be negotiated between the seller and purchaser. The program will require some upfront costs to the county in order to get the program started and ongoing costs to administer it. Conservation encouraged by TDCs can also have a more enduring quality than conservation provided by other programs. Once a landowner sells their credits, a conservation easement is put in place. Because these easements are registered on title, they have much longer terms than typical 5 or 10-year agreements used in other conservation methods. And finally, TDCs can provide a more equitable way for landowners to profit from development elsewhere in the county. It allows for the financial benefits of development to be spread over a large number of landowners, while the degree of land fragmentation is reduced. More landowners can benefit from selling their development rights without actually subdividing their land. So to summarize, a credit program allows municipalities to direct development away from conservation areas and into more appropriate locations. Landowners can profit from not developing their land and selling their credits on the market. The result is protection of valued areas through the development of others. We believe that the tool could strengthen implementation of existing policies and preserve valuable land. From our exploration of the county, we have found that Parkland has the necessary policy support and experience, familiarity with complementary programs already in place, and the opportunity to continue its award-winning leadership in conservation. The next steps would involve more detailed scoping of a pilot program, including proposed development areas, proposed credit formulas to determine the amount of credits, and securing partnership with other organizations for funding and conservation. We have worked on some preliminary program ideas and consultation material that has been made available to the Parkland County staff. I'd like to close with a quote from Darren Grieve, the Transfer and Development Right Manager in King County, Washington, near Seattle, on the success of their program. He says, "Kings County Development Transfer Program is a critical tool we use to manage growth and conserve land. Its voluntary and incentive-driven structure makes it effective and supportable by a large number of varied stakeholders, from rural farm and forest landowners to developers and environmental groups. It has an appeal from elected officials because it achieves land protection and steers growth into urban areas at minimal taxpayer expense."